All right, welcome and welcome again. Welcome to Resilient Voices and Beyond. I'm so excited for the guests that I have. It has been, a very, great day. Hopefully with this episode, I can give you guys some knowledge, some inspiration, some motivation, and some tips and tidbits, through my guest story and so forth. So without further ado, I'm going to have her introduce herself.
Okay, hello. It's awesome to be here today. My name is Shanell Lavallie. I'm from the Fort Belknap Indian Reservation. My tribal affiliations are Ani and Nakota, but I was raised not too far from my reserve over in Great Falls, Montana. I'm a fourth grade teacher and I love the job that I currently have. And yeah, that's a quick summary of me.
Thank you for that. So if you don't mind, I like to dive deep in whichever, if you can kind of give myself and the listeners synopsis of what your story entails, like why you went into care, what that looks like.
Yes, so actually me and my a few of my brothers were put into foster care. And truly the truth of why I went into foster care, I don't really know the full truth about it. I just know that our biological parents were unfit to care for us. And so we ended up moving to Great Falls. Um, we were raised by the same parents, um, and yeah, they really did their best to provide us stability and to give us opportunities to have a good education. But yeah, it was definitely tough after my foster mom passed away. She was a very giving lady, but um, yeah, after her passing, it just kind of changed everything and the family dynamic, and that was pretty tough to go through.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you. Uh, as a disclaimer, if anything, you're not comfortable with, just let me know. But so you were fostered, were you fostered until like the end, or were you adopted?
So I was put into foster care when I was 1, and then I aged out when I was 18. I know that my foster mom had intentions of adopting me and my brothers, but after she passed away, just things just changed. It didn't feel the same, and so I never was fully adopted, and so I aged out of the foster care system.
Okay, okay, and I'm sorry to hear that about your foster mom. Um, so you aged out. What does that look like in your state? And
Yeah.
because I know it's different for every other state. So what does aging out look like for you when that happened?
It technically just means that you're aged out of the child welfare system. Oftentimes, I know a lot of youth in foster care that age out, they lose a lot of resources that they once had, whether it be medical help, educational help. And fortunately, in my circumstance, I worked with a wonderful lady with Kairos Youth Services, and she was with me, like, it felt like every step of the way. And then I also had a great mentor with Upward Bound that helped me get into college, and she helped me just kind of get the process of developing the skills of becoming more independent. And I never realized, that it was their job, because they treated me just like, like I was a person, not like a number that had to get passed through, and, oh, we got to figure something out for her, and I didn't realize until I was a little bit older, um, that not a lot of kids have that experience, and just to try to find resources to help them in transitioning out of care it's can be a challenge. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. So I also know that you're Native American, and I know that that's a completely different system in itself. When it comes to like child welfare and foster care. Did any of that play a part in your experience and so forth?
I think a small part of it did. I mean, I know that they have ICWA, which is the Indian Child Welfare Act, which prioritizes keeping Native American youth, if they are removed from their families and put in the system, they're put with another family member. And that wasn't my case. I was put with a Native family, but they had no relative like ties to my actual blood family.
Okay.
And a part of what ICWA, in my circumstance, prevented for me and my brothers was being adopted into this family sooner, because our parents still had that right until we did turn 18. We could have that choice. And so I think I would have been adopted a lot sooner if it wasn't for, the ICWA laws, which I'm not against ICWA. I'm really not. I know that it helps so many of our Native youth, but I
Mhm.
don't know. I guess I'm just the odd one that didn't benefit so much.
I get that. I get that. Thank you for explaining it. Like, I just, we hear so many different facets of child welfare, not just um, demographically, but like statewide, federally, but also we don't think about the cultural differences and different things like that so much. And you had a unique experience and a different experience than some others, like and so forth. So I kind of want to get into your journey, to your career, if you don't mind me asking. Um, you got to college, you had support, and so forth. How was that walk towards what you are now, a fourth grade, teacher, educator?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a very complex answer, honestly. Um, I think when I went to college not too far from my hometown. It was about 4 hours, and I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I honestly thought I had everything figured out. I was like, I've been through the worst of it. How much worse can it get? But I had a lot of learning to do over there. I grew up a lot, had a lot of hard, trying times, and I think that's when I really realized the truth of my circumstances, and it was hard for me to accept because I was doing everything on my own, and I was like, oh no, I have a family, but yet it was mostly me reaching out to them, and so that was very lonely. And it wasn't to say the least, it wasn't easy, but I just kept going. Something inside of me just kept me walking. I like to say it was my ancestors. I truly believe that. I mean, I really believe I'm a part of what they prayed for, and I want to break those generational curses that are within our family, and hopefully one day when I have children, give them a better opportunity than I've had, which, not to sound ungrateful for the opportunities I do have, but I just know I want to raise my kids in a healthier environment than what I had, if that makes sense.
It does.
Um,
It does.
yeah. But when I graduated, it was such a big moment for me, which I think it is for a lot of people, but it was just crazy because I was like, I can't believe I actually got through this. I got through these hard times. Oops, I just My bad. I had to get my
No, it
dogs to
is.
stop barking.
It is okay.
Um, and so it was just it felt I can't even describe how it felt to walk across that stage. Um, it just felt amazing. So I was just like, I did it. And this is only the beginning, even though it felt like the end of such a big chapter in my life, honestly. And the pieces just kind of fell together, and I was really grateful for that. I moved back to Great Falls. I found a place. I landed a job pretty quickly, as a fourth grade teacher with someone that actually mentored me when I was in high school. So it just felt like I was making the right choice, and it's a year later, and I know I'm right where I need to be. And I love the kids that I work with. Like, I see so much of myself in these children. I come from the same background as many of them, Native, some of them are have living under poverty circumstances, are in foster care. So it's never them. Like, it's never them that truly stresses me out. If anything, it's the commitment to planning time outside of the classroom. But like
Wow.
I love my job. I really do.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Like you had a journey, you had a very great walk, and you've done it well. With resiliency and perseverance and strength, courage, and that is inspiring. I'm inspired. And I admire that. Um, um, Man, and kind of, my next couple questions are kind of getting into like the scope. I know alongside, your journey, of education and becoming an educator and stuff like that, you've done some advocacy work too. You know, I met you, at NFI Shadow Day, which was an awesome experience. It was a really awesome experience, and it was really
Love
awesome to connect with you and um I connected with so many people. I'm a person that when I go places, I need to at least meet each and everybody. And this was before COVID, so I
Yeah.
could do that. You know, I could shake people's hands and greet them. Take selfies and so forth. And I made it a mission when I went there to picture, get contact information with everybody. And that was
Yeah,
awesome.
you really embodied that. You embodied that too. Like, I loved it. You were so outgoing there.
Definitely, definitely. So kind of, if you could talk to me about some of like the advocacy work that you've done, or I don't know if you're still doing any, and so forth.
So it honestly started with the Montana Chafee Board, where I started the advocacy work. And I honestly didn't think I was gonna focus so much on that aspect of my life. I was just focusing on building a career in education. But the older I got and the more opportunities I got to advocate for child welfare issues, it very felt much a part of me, and to help kids who come from that background as well. So I see myself as an educator and what people call foster care alumni and advocate. I really do. Like, it's just so, they're so twisted together into my life, and I feel like my purpose. Um, and so the next advocacy work I did was with Foster Club. I don't know if you know much about them and what they
Yes.
do, but I spent a summer in Seaside, building my leadership skills and presenting different curriculums to foster youth across the nation, which was really fun. And then after that, I just, like, that was fun. Like, I want to meet more other foster, like, people that have been in foster care. Like, they get you, I think, more than anyone else. Like, they truly do, because they know that experience, and it's such a genuine, authentic connection. It's not like a forced connection. It's just there. And so I was like, I want to do more of that. And so I just pushed myself to do more in that area. I applied for the National Foster Youth Institute, and I didn't actually get it the first year, and I got it the second year, which was just fine. I feel like it worked out just how it was supposed to, because I don't know if you remember, but I was with Deb Holland for that day, and she's one of the
Mm-hmm.
first Native American women to be elected into Congress. I was like, that would have not happened if I got it the year before. And so I felt like it was just meant to be that way. And that was
Mm-hmm.
so much fun. Like, that's when I truly learned about the government process. I never really understood it. I'm such a visual person. So when I was there, it really opened up my eyes and it clicked. Like, it just made sense to me. And so that was great. And I was like, I want to do more of that. Like, I want to go back to Washington, D.C. And so I applied for the Congressional Coalition on Adoptions Institute, which that really forced me to grow. I knew I wanted to do more advocacy in child welfare, but I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I knew it was very a prestigious internship, and I did question myself, like, can I actually do this? But I was like, you know what? You're accepted. You already got into it. Just you're here for a reason, so just go with it. And so
Right.
I went with it. I focused on tribal issues, um, specifically tribal issues and child welfare. And that was so much fun. I loved the cohort that I was connected to during that time. And then that was pretty much the last adventure I went on for child welfare advocacy. And I do definitely know there's going to be more. There's been some small things here and there that I've done, like whether it be speaking on a seminar and connecting with other foster youth, but I definitely plan on pursuing more um, um, opportunities when it comes to child welfare advocacy, for sure.
Okay, thank you for that. And it's inspiring. And, um, my next question is kind of going into subjects where we kind of just don't talk about. Believe like some of these things that we advocate for as like alumni and so forth are things that we wish that were placed on the table. We wish more people were rallying around to do it, but unfortunately people don't, so we step up to advocate for them. So if you could think back and or even now as a alumni what stigmas, labels, and different things like that did you face and have to deal with and have to work through and so forth?
Um, honestly, my response is very, I think, very simple and not too technical, but I always felt the need to have to prove to people that I'm not this crazy young girl, like that I am not psychotic and that I am not what people thought they saw of me or their image of me when I was in foster care. Because I had stuff going on and people seem to really want to deny my truth of what I've been through, whether it be abuse, they don't want to believe that truth and instead see me as the problem. And that was probably the biggest stigma that I fought my entire life, was proving that I'm not this young girl that was just trying to cause problems. Like I had issues, they just were never addressed. And so I've always worked hard to build who I am so I can love myself and give to other people and not be labeled as crazy or oh, she's just this foster care kid, they're this and that, because there's a lot of labels that get put on foster care children and as they get older too. And I always felt the need to prove that I wasn't what people thought I was, if that makes sense.
It does, and I think that resonates with a lot of people, believe it or not. um Going on side that how did you handle mental health through your
That's a
experience,
good
and
question.
even now, like as a teacher, as an educator, yes, I'm pretty sure it can be very rewarding, but also it's a tolling job. You get to see your students go through things, and there's limitations and different things like that. So how do you deal with your mental health and self-care now versus your experience back then, going through the system? What did that mental health self-care look like? So kind of a before and after.
Yeah. So I had a very, very nice routine when I was in college for taking care of my mental health. And I'll be honest, I'm not at that routine at its prime right now. I want to get back there. But one thing that truly helped me to stay healthy and balanced in college was working out. I joined a CrossFit class. I'm still in a CrossFit class now. I just recently got back into it. So my physical health, taking care of my spirituality through smudging, through connecting with my native culture, and honestly seeing a therapist so I can process, the trauma that I've been through and work to be the healthiest person I can be for other people. And honestly, just taking care of myself and finding time to have that self love, that self-care time people like to call it. And all those three things, I felt like when I kept him in balance, that's what really helped me the most. And I'm just now getting back into that. I'm not good with change, and so when I was transitioning back here from Flathead to Great Falls, it wasn't easy, and it was really hard for me to prioritize my mental health. And I'm just now getting back into it, honestly. But for some reason, when I'm in the classroom, those kids are the priority, and so I'm able to push through it. But I also know it's important that I take that time for myself as well. You know how they say, like, you need to put your own mask on in order to give to others. That's what I really recently learned, and I that's why I'm getting back into it and prioritizing it.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that. Because we know, like, alongside with the stigmas and labels and stuff, there's so much stigma around mental health, for foster youth, when they're at young ages, and when they transition out of care. but also, even as an adults, we don't really take care of mental health like we should. It's something that's kind of put on the back burner, like if I can afford it, if I got time for it, and so forth. So I think it's important to ask those questions on the podcast that I do here, because this platform is to be able to talk about the resilient moments, but also beyond, like to be real about it, like, and I appreciate your vulnerability and honestness with that. Like, you not where you was in college, but you still are doing what you can,
Yeah.
and so forth. And that right there is inspiring, because not we all, I don't want to use the word fall short, because I feel like that's negative. We all have to figure out ways as we adapt and grow to continue on with that. So I think that's very inspiring and great to hear, and I appreciate you being honest about that. Um, my next question is,
Yeah, absolutely.
COVID happened. You know, COVID has affected the world. You know, um, how have you dealt with this? Because and speaking with other alumni and different things, COVID has brought up things for people. It has turned their world upside down. So, for you, what has been your experience, and how have you dealt with this?
Yeah, we honestly, yes, we've all lost something due to COVID. And I'm going to be honest, one thing that still lingers in my mind is I actually lost 3 traveling opportunities, which I was so excited about. I was supposed to travel to Washington, D.C., New Mexico, and Chicago, and that never happened. And those experiences aren't replaceable. So that's honestly how has hit me the hardest. But as it goes for like living my day by day life, um, I in college it was tough. That's when I spent most of the time alone, and we didn't really get to connect with my cohort who I loved talking to so much. Like, they really helped me get through my college experience. And we like stay connected virtually, but it's just not the same as being in person. But by the time I moved over back to Great Falls to do my student teaching, everything was back in person, and so it didn't affect my life that much in that aspect. And so I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of it didn't like hit me too hard, but yeah, definitely those 3 traveling opportunities. It still it kind of gets to me sometimes. I'll be honest.
I get it. I respect that. There are so many different things I was looking forward to, and it's just like, oh, okay, so you here now. COVID is a thing. We dealing with this. You know,
Yeah.
for me, I was in the midst of education. So that transferred to online, and I'm a people person. Just having that connection, it was a lot for myself. In that experience, and it took a lot to deal with that. Um, and just cope, and so forth. And I like to think we all are still coping with it, because it is not done. It's not over. We still are suffering some ramifications and different variants and stuff like that. Um, Lastly, what advice, tips, and tidbits can you give to foster care alumni, um, and also to um, educators, educators that are starting out, out there and so forth.
Um so one thing that I always want to remind youth that are in the system or have aged out, and it sounds very very cliche, but I'm going to try my best to elaborate on it. But you are not your circumstances or what you've been through, and I know sometimes it may feel like that. um but if you have like any type of dream, any type of aspiration, like pour all of your energy into that, and you have to believe in yourself so deeply. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough, like how important it is for you to believe in yourself. Because if you don't, like, you don't want to look into other people and be like, oh, they should believe in me, like they should, give me this opportunity, they should give me this chance. Like, you have to believe that you are worthy of an opportunity. You have the skill set that people are looking for. You have that star quality, whatever it is, you have to believe that. And when you truly have that moment of when you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. because even through the trying times, like, like, you know what, I can still do it. I can try it again. I can try it a different way. In education, we have this thing called a growth and fixed mindset. And a growth mindset is, even when you get knocked down, even when you're facing challenging times, you still believe that you're capable of doing good things and great things, academic things, whatever it is. And a fixed mindset is that mindset of just kind of being stuck with, oh, like, I can't do this, I'm not worthy enough, I can't, like, I'm just not that type of person to have, good things in my life. So I think it's very important that you grow your growth mindset and believe in yourself, and you'll be all right. Like, trust me, the odds were in my favor. And I know the odds are in a lot of youth foster youth's favor as well. But when you believe in yourself, like, you just become such a powerful person. Like, that's my biggest advice. And for educators, I'm still new to the game, first year teacher, but one thing I would give any first year teacher an advice on is to plan ahead. Be well planned, because if you're not, your classroom will be crazy. And oftentimes, actually, it's really required that you submit your lesson plans a week in advance. But be prepared, be planned, and don't try to say, oh, it's okay, this is easy, I'm fine, because that's exactly what I did. And then the reality hit me of, like, nope, this is hard. And I need to accept that, so I'm willing to face these challenges and grow into the best educator I can be. Because,
Thank
yeah,
you.
that
Thank
that
you.
was yeah, that was me. I was trying to deny it. Oh, this is easy, this is easy, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then eventually it just kind of hit me like a bag of bricks. I was like, yeah, this isn't easy, and I have to accept that and grow from this.
Man, thank you for that advice. I think that's very powerful advice, and I hope that the listeners can take heed of that and utilize that. You know, um, I just thought of another question, and this is my last question. I promise. What's next for you? What is next on this journey that you are living?
Thank you for asking me that. So the next step right now, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but I am applying for a program. I'm so excited about it. I don't want to go into too much detail just because I don't want to,
I
yeah,
understand.
I don't want to jinx anything. I had a great mentor. I reached out, asked if he'd be willing to help, and he agreed. And so I feel really good about this opportunity that I'm applying for. But I do still plan on teaching, if I still get this opportunity. Um, and then after, I do want to teach for a few more years, and then I want to go get my master's in education,
Okay.
educational leadership.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I like, I would love to have you back as you go on to these goals and achievements, and kind of just talk about, those goals that you have accomplished and stuff like that. But this is Resilient Voices and Beyond. I appreciate having you. Thank you so much. I know, I got in contact with you as out of the will and so forth, and you were a trooper and getting back with me. Uh, so thank you.
No, thank you
Um,
for reaching out. Yeah.
it's been a pleasure being able to highlight your unique story and experience, because we all have a uniqueness to our story, but there's a lot of resonation that can happen, and things that people can use, and so forth. So I hope that this inspired, motivated, or whichever, to the listeners. But thank you for being here. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. um, this is Resilient Voices and Beyond. You guys have a good night, a good evening, a good day. Whenever you listening to it, I hope it's good. I hope it's great. I hope it's blessed, and I hope you thrive in it. Um, Thank you. And you guys just stay safe out there. COVID is real. Mask up, wear hand sanitizer. I'm not going to get political with all this, the vaccine or whichever. But do what you need to do to just be precautious. And it's serious. So make sure that you're staying safe. Keep your family safe. Keep your loved ones safe. And so forth. Um, Thank you guys for listening. Have a good night.